So we've been talking about what to eat, and now we need to know how to eat. So first and foremost, the timing of the meals and regularity of meals is very important. So timing, Ellen White tells us that having our meals spaced apart, 5 to 6 hours apart is good. That will give you enough time to have your food completely digest and let it rest. Remember, resting for your stomach, your digestive system is essential. If you constantly eat foods, your stomach does not get a rest. In society, what is life like? You get up late, rush to work, have a cup of coffee, don't feel hungry, and then somebody baked some brownies, and so they pass it around to the office, and you eat some, and then a couple of hours later, someone does a donut run and a coffee run, and you eat some more, and then it's lunchtime, and you eat, and then so on and on and on and on, and your stomach does not have any time to rest.
My dad had diabetes, and the doctor told him to eat 6 meals a day.
Yes, mercy. So the doctors told Jane's father, who was diabetic, to eat 6 meals a day. And you know what? That makes sense in the fact that then they would reduce the amount of food that they would eat. That's the idea. So your blood sugar wouldn't go up so much. But what is it doing to your digestive system? Oh, it's like this. You know, if you go to the gym and you've got dumbbells and you're working on your biceps, okay, if I do 15 repetitions, then I'm tired. I need a rest, right? And I wait a while and I do 15 more, right? Well, imagine this is what we're doing to our stomachs. Keep doing the repetitions, but don't stop. What's going to happen in even 5-10 minutes of doing this? Oh, it's going to hurt. How about after 1 hour of doing this? My arm would fall down, you know, I'd drop the dumbbell. How about 5 hours of doing this? You'd be debilitated. This is how we're treating our stomachs, by constantly eating and not giving it the time to rest.
Prostate cancer during that time.
Oh, mercy. Okay, so Jane's father contracted prostate cancer in the process of all that. So she's connecting the dots of things that may have caused his diseases. Okay, so we talked about the regularity of the meals, right? Here we are following strictly 8 a.m., 1 p.m., 6 p.m., okay? And I don't like to deviate very much because our stomachs are getting used to it. Half an hour before the meal, it's going to start to produce the stomach acids, the digestive juices to start preparing to digest your food. So if you are deviating your times by more than 30 minutes, an hour, your system is going to be confused. It's not going to be prepared to digest properly. A lot of people do not have regular routines, and that is causing a lot of problems. No discipline. So you see that this program is very disciplined, right? Very structured as far as the timing and everything. And you know what? You'll find that if you stick with it, you feel so good. You feel really good. And you are giving your body the best possible schedule so that it can have, the best health. Okay. So, as you may have heard, you should eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and dinner like a pauper. That means breakfast shouldn't be overeating, but you should be eating a substantial and heavy enough meal. But don't overeat. Think of kings and very wealthy people. They eat the best types of food, but they never overeat. They have a few bites, and it's enough to satisfy. But when you have the right composition of the meals and you are making sure that you have your whole grains, you're having your fruits or your vegetables, and then you're having some kind of protein and fat, good fat, some avocados or some nuts or something, then you can have a substantial enough meal to be able to last you several hours. That's what we want. Okay, so lunch is a little bit lighter. You might focus on a big salad and have something that's not as heavy. And then for dinner, eat like a pauper, like a poor person, and we're just eating fruit for dinner. Just 2 pieces of fruit for dinner. And even for the rest of the program, you're going to be eating a good breakfast, a little lighter lunch, and then every time for dinner, you'll be just having fruit. Yes, light. And then your stomach will be so happy at night as you go to sleep because it's not working so hard. If you have your food still digesting when you go to sleep, you're going to have disturbed sleep. Okay? All right, sometimes it's good to have 2 meals a day if you are not somebody who does a lot of active manual labor. If you're just sitting around all day doing, intellectual type work, you may not need that much food. All right, so even just 2 meals a day is beneficial, but make sure those meals are not overeating to try to compensate. All right, so 2 meals a day. I was going to say something else about that.
What sort of times are you looking at with 2 meals? Because my husband and I have just gone to 2 meals a day.
Sure. If I did 2 meals a day, I would probably do around 10 o'clock and 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Or 9 o'clock, 9 a.m., 3 p.m., something like that. Yeah.
And then how would you just cut out the fruit at night time?
Yep.
For dinner?
Yep.
No
I just cut it off. Yep. But see, look, eating just that 2 pieces of fruit for dinner is actually not much.
Yes.
So it's almost like not really eating a 3rd meal. So, you got to just check your timing and see what's best for you.
Can the fruit be different fruit or same fruit?
It's best to do the same fruit, especially if you have any kind of disease. Eating one kind of fruit is the best. If you don't have any diseases, mixing a couple of different fruits is not bad. Okay, it's okay. But it's all about digestion.
Is this the same for breakfast? Do you have fruit at breakfast?
Same for breakfast.
One type of fruit.
Have one type of fruit, a couple type of fruit. Especially if you have some cooked fruit and then you have a different kind of fruit, not such a big deal. We're going to talk about fruits and such in a bit. All right, so if you reduce the amounts of different kinds of varieties, then it reduces the stress of digestion. So that's the principle. All right, fasting. We've talked about fasting and how good it is for us. And fasting even can happen every day. Like if you stop eating at 6:30 and then you don't eat until the next day 8 o'clock, you have a good amount of time that you are fasting and your stomach gets to rest. All right, quantity of food. All right, when you eat your meals, you want to make sure that you do not overeat. Well, how do you know if you're overeating or not? It said that it's best to eat till you're about 70 or 80% full. But how do you calculate that? Okay, so then when you are eating and you're chewing your food and then you say, oh, I'm full, then you know that you've reached about 100% capacity. You know those times when you have said, oh, I'm too full. That means you have overeaten, right? So you know those things. Now, how I gauge it is this. If I eat my meal and I am finished digesting around 3 hours after the meal, I know that's the right amount of food. Because I'm still, I have enough food to sustain me that 3 hours, but then by 3 hours, I'm hungry, I'm ready to drink water. I know that's 70 to 80% full. That's perfect. But if I eat a really light meal or eat too little quantity of food, and then I'm hungry after 1 hour, I know I did not eat enough or I did not eat a heavy enough meal. Then you make the adjustments. Now the problem is when you overeat. When you overeat, your food does not digest until 5, 6, 7 hours later. That's a big problem. You're going to be wanting to drink water, but you shouldn't be drinking water because your food hasn't finished digesting, and that will just delay digestion more. If you overeat, skip the next meal. Just skip it. All right? Sometimes it happens. Just skip it, just drink water, and then wait till the next day or the next meal. Because if we eat more food on top of what food is in our stomachs that hasn't finished digesting, that is like eating in between meals, and that is like causing even more problems, even a greater delay in digestion. Then that means the previous food that you ate, you will not digest maybe for 12 hours or 14 hours. And that is not good to have that fermenting and rotting in your stomach. Okay. All right, we've been talking about chewing, and how you get the value of the nutrients by how thoroughly you chew. So it's not about how slowly you eat. You should finish your meal in about 40 minutes. For your fruit, you should probably finish in about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, maybe max. If you're talking a lot, that does not mean that you're chewing well. Okay, so keep that in mind. So chewing is very different than talking and delaying your meal. I don't really know the number, but you can feel it as it breaks down, right? And so try to make it enough so that it breaks down. The more you can chew, the less work that your stomach and your intestines have to do to break it down.
We just suck the juice.
Suck the juice? No, you got to chew because you want to get the fiber, right? So chew and chew and chew. Yeah, some people have said like chew each bite like 40 times, right? That's a long time. Do the best you can and try and test it out. Test it out. Eat a smaller amount of food and chew all your food to become like a liquid and see how satisfied you are. Do some experimentation. All right, so we talked already this morning about pesticides sprayed vegetables and organic foods, and I told you different things that you can use to wash it off, whether you use vinegar with water or a baking soda with water. You can even use charcoal in water. And in some countries, they use salt in water to wash their vegetables. Now, what we really need to avoid is overeating, binge eating, and eating in between meals. Okay, so we've already talked about overeating, binge eating, eating a bunch at one time. Really bad. And then last, eating in between meals. We want to make sure our stomachs get to rest. Okay, you are what you? Okay, so what are you? Are you nuts? I like the natural nuts. Okay, well, what are we eating? Am I fried chicken?
Whoa, wow, very young.
Am I hamburgers? Am I chips? Oh no. I hope you're looking at this and you are saying, oh no, poison. Poison. I do not want to be poisoned. Let's look at processed foods. We want to avoid processed foods. Level 1 level of processed foods are junk foods we know. All those packaged foods, those chips, those lollies, those cookies, those biscuits, whatever, we know straight up that it's not healthy. But the world has made them very addictive and very cheap. So even in,
Cracker biscuits.
yeah, all of that. That's all the junk food processed foods. Now, if you can find some that are healthy, and then you can make them that are healthy. All right, level 2 processed foods are highly processed, different kinds of foods. It may not be packaged, but it's processed quite a bit. For example, let's say like noodles. Now, you know those 2-minute noodles? Now, actually, that can probably go into like level 1 processed foods because, okay, you're starting with white flour, deep frying them in oil, adding sugar, salts, and who knows what else. Whoo, mercy. This is poison.
What of the noodles in the small bag? We used to put the water.
Yes.
We don't
So there are different kind of noodles like mung bean noodles or sweet potato starch noodles. Those are processed, so that's more like maybe somewhere between 2 and 3. It's processed, but it's not really bad. So having it sometimes is okay, but I wouldn't have it every single meal, every single day. Okay. Now, yeah, so then you look at your noodles. There's some that are made out of white flour or white rice flour. So we know it's not a whole food. That's not healthy. If you eat that once in a blue moon, once a month, once every 2 months, okay. Even like pasta, you know. But the alternatives, you can get a whole grain pasta or whole grain noodles. Doesn't taste the same, but you can still find that if you really love pasta. There's brown rice pasta, you know, different kind of noodles.
Gluten free.
Gluten-free what?
Gluten free.
Okay, so look at the gluten-free, look at the labels. Gluten-free is not necessarily whole foods.
99%.
They remove the gluten out of the flour.
Well, they usually use different ones. They'll use brown rice flour or rice flour. Usually it's not brown rice flour, so it's white rice flour and tapioca flour and different things like that. So there's some that are not quite whole foods, but kind of look at the labels and do the best that you can. Okay? And then you've got the level 3, processed health foods or healthy foods. Like tofu is processed. What's the whole food that tofu is made out of? Soybeans. So better than tofu is actually soybeans cooked. But tofu, right? The world presents tofu as the best health food of all. But you have to understand that it's still processed. It's getting rid of the curd, right? That forms on the top. So even tofu, yeah, it's good, but it's not the best.
What about tempeh?
Yeah, tempeh is fermented soybeans, and so the fermentation makes it not healthy. We're going to talk about fermented foods in just a bit.
But fermentation there is B12.
We're going to talk about fermentation in just a minute. Okay, so we want to avoid all animal products. Any kind of animals. We've been talking about meat, the dangers of meat and fish, and in some cultures they even eat insects and bugs and anything. I like to try to say, if anything had a mother, don't eat it.
A mother in the face.
If it had a face, don't eat it. Okay, that's a good one. All right, and also animal products. Wow, milk actually is one of the worst things that we can eat. We can drink. Milk is for baby animals, right? And so milk has the growth hormones to help the babies grow. And if we as humans are ingesting this, we are getting these kinds of growth hormones for animals. And this is really very bad for our health. So you can make the transition. There are so many plant-based milks these days. I personally like the flavor of soy, the organic soy. We told you earlier, like I really love the brand at Kohl's. It's the Kohl's organic soy milk. And at Aldi, they have organic soy milk as well. Just make sure that it's from the whole soybeans. Yeah, almond milk is fantastic. So almond milk is great. I know now they have oat milk, they have rice milk, they have cashew milk, all different kinds. Yeah. Yeah, so you can use any of those. Use whatever you enjoy. All right, so of course cheese is made out of milk, and yeah, cheese, it was one of the hardest things for me to give up. But now as I've been making such delicious, healthy food, I don't really miss it anymore. And I know the results of eating cheese. You know, it's just bloating and just uncomfortable in the digestion. Ellen White says that cheese is not fit for food. It is not fit for food. So we can understand because it affects us in such negative ways. Okay, yogurt, eggs, etc.
What about bland cheeses like cottage and stuff?
Yeah, still it's made out of milk. Yeah. So same concept.
Vegan cheese.
Yeah, vegan cheese, of course, is better than regular cheese, but it's highly processed too. So if you choose to eat that, I would eat it very rarely. Very rarely.
What about yogurt?
Yeah, same thing with yogurt, made out of milk. So,
Organic yogurt.
What about
yeah, organic. Yep. Yeah, coconut yogurt is better than milk yogurt. But definitely it's processed. And number two, it uses the bacteria, the fermentation process. So I cannot say that it is a healthy food.
Because my husband makes me homemade yogurt from soy,
Mm-hmm.
but he uses what's called kefir
Kefir, yep.
for fermentation.
Right, yeah, we're going to talk about fermentation in just a bit, so hang on there.
That will be also
Yeah, right.
Like fish.
Yeah.
Salmon fish.
Same thing with fish. We already talked about fish, right? And how there's so much mercury and different toxins that go into the fish. So, I think it's more dangerous to eat fish these days. Yeah, definitely more dangerous now than in the past. All right.
Egg.
Oh, eggs. Yes, so eggs.
Organic egg.
All right, so eggs that are from chickens that are free ranged and from healthy things, okay, it might be okay to eat once in a while, but there's a problem with eggs in that in the yolk, it's filled with cholesterol. So it is not good for us. We do not need cholesterol. The cholesterol that our body needs is made from plant-based ingredients. So the body makes the cholesterol that we eat. If we eat eggs, we're ingesting a lot of cholesterol. Now hold on.
There's some diet.
Hang on. So then Ellen White talks about eggs as a usage for people who are extremely malnourished. If there are people that are very sickly, weak, malnourished, sometimes eggs are helpful in regaining the strength. And in fact, she even says that she uses it more like a medicine. Take grape juice together with a couple of raw eggs, mix it up, and drink it. It is medicine. I'm telling you. See, we like eggs because we like the flavor of eggs, all right? And that's what we grew up with. But you know what? We don't need it. And you can use it as a medicine, but like this medicine is temporary. You use it just when you need it. It's not for taste. It's not for those who are malnourished, undernourished, thin, and losing weight. Maybe they're sick and they need to get energy quickly.
For anemia,
Yeah.
well, I think you said.
Anemic as well, yeah. So it's like a natural remedy, but that's very temporary. Okay? What were you going to say, Tammy?
I just want to say some people use it for dieting. Eggs. They will ask you to eat 2 a day or whatever.
Yeah, they'll use it for dieting. And so it's really,
And I don't have cholesterol issues.
yeah, you'll cause other problems. So people who use it for dieting, yeah, if they only eat 2 eggs, they're going to lose weight. And it's more about the abstemiousness, which means not eating much food. So if you reduce the amount of food that you eat, you will have effects of losing weight.
Yeah.
But then you increase your cholesterol.
Yeah, if you're going to be eating the eggs, you'll increase the cholesterol.
Well, you got to follow the science.
Well, you know what will happen is it may not show immediately, but it will build up in your body. So,
But you can boil and take the yellow one out.
yeah, you can, but why would you eat something that you don't need to when there's so many other things to eat? So you know that there's harmful effects in these products. If you want to hold on to them, there's nothing I can do about it. It's your decision between you and God. But you can understand the health benefits and the health dangers and make your decision. All right, so we want to use proper seasonings in our food. We want to use the natural salts, the rock salt, the Himalayan pink salt, or the Celtic salt, which is a sea salt, or other natural salts. We want to avoid those iodized table salts, okay? Those are chemically made. So if you are missing iodine from your diet, I would eat seaweed. And you can, if necessary, you need to, sorry?
Vegetables.
Yeah, some people have mentioned Vegeta, and I'm not sure. I did not look at it properly, but from what I understand, it was okay.
Yeah, I've checked it. It's made with different vegetables.
Yes.
So it still tastes like salt, but there's not pure salt.
Okay. Does it have oil in it?
No. There's only
No
to
oil.
replace
Okay.
it.
All right, great.
Ever made?
Herbamare? Yeah, Herbamare is okay.
Like a stock.
Mm-hmm.
Like a story.
Yeah, so stock, try to make your stock naturally as much as possible. Check the labels to see what is in the ingredients.
They say,
There's
If there's MSG, you avoid it, run like
plant-based stock.
Vegeta. Okay, hold on.
Vegeta has monosodium glutamate.
Oh, okay. Vegeta, guys, Vegeta has MSG, monosodium glutamate, so it's not good.
They have to live in
Yeah, so do not use MSG. MSG is monosodium glutamate, which is a chemically made flavor enhancer.
Who said that?
And
Did you cook it?
especially in Asia, they love MSG because it boosts the flavor. So what we need to learn how to do is to cook with natural flavor enhancers. And those are just onions and garlic. Even mushrooms has a wonderful flavor. And yeah, as Asians, we use seaweed, we use kelp, and that brings out flavor.
Is another one
China people.
Dulce flakes?
Oh, yeah, I think that's also from seaweed. Yeah.
But most restaurants they use MSG.
That's why we don't go to restaurants. That's why we cook our own food. Because the MSG is going to kill us. That's part of the poison.
All I grow with MSG.
And so it's time. You have lived with MSG for so many years. So now it's time to cleanse your body.
Yes, because
Yeah.
almost Indonesia, Chinese, Thailand,
Totally. They love MSG.
Malaysia, Philippines, they eat.
That's right.
Is MSG come in a jar or is it certain ingredients with MSG? I don't
It's both. You can buy MSG powdered in packaging, and then MSG also comes in different seasonings and different foods. If you just, especially everything that comes from Asia, it has MSG, monosodium glutamate.
Jars like green curry jar and yellow curry jar.
Yes, there is MSG there.
Some, yeah, some. You just read the labels.
I don't want to.
Okay, natural seasonings. All right, so you can use the natural seasonings. Cumin powder, coriander powder, garlic, onion, turmeric. Yeah, you can use it. That's no problem. These are all natural. Okay, and also for cooking, you can use ground up cashews, ground up sesame seeds, ground up peanuts, and you can make food so delicious. You don't have to use all the bad stuff to make your food delicious. All right, now we want to avoid spicy foods and seasonings. Now, the spicy foods and seasonings has a negative effect on our temper. All right? Anger causes anger. It exacerbates the passions. Okay? So there's a lot of problems that way. But secondly, it also damages the lining of your stomach. When I go to Thailand, to India, and you go to a restaurant, you have to buy food, and you say, please, don't make it spicy. Then I bring out the food, I taste it, I'm like, oh, it's so spicy. And they say, oh, not spicy, only one chili. And their definition of spicy and my definition of spicy are very different, right? So now you have had your palate cleansed because of, your fruit fasting. Now your insides, your digestive system is like the digestive system of a little child, of a little baby. Would you give spicy food to a baby?
No.
To a 6-month-old? Why not?
We do in my country.
Oh. Okay, for people in other countries, why not?
They cry and they will get used to it. And that's it.
Why would you not give it to babies? It's damaging them. It's harmful. They cry. They know it's painful. Okay? So what you have to understand is, even though your mouth has become numb because you're so used to it, the inside of your digestive system is feeling it. Okay? So for reasons of your temper, your character, as well as the inside of your digestive system, we avoid the spicy foods. Okay? Oil. Oil is not a whole food. Oil is an extraction. So better than olive oil is eating the actual olives. You've got the fat in there, the oil, but you've got the whole food. So that's the best. Yeah, instead of using avocado oil, eat avocado. So that's the best. That's why we don't like to use a lot of oil. Now, we do not cook with oil because when oil becomes heated up, it reaches a smoke point and it becomes carcinogenic. That means it becomes cancerous.
But they say olive oil, rather coconut oil does not.
Every oil has a smoke point. Now, coconut oil has a higher smoke point, and apparently rice bran oil has an even higher smoke point. So, yes.
You can just fry it.
Yes, so when you need to, like, if you make pancakes or something, you can put a little bit of oil and just wipe it on the pan, you know? So you're not using a lot, okay? So reduce as much as possible. And you'd be surprised at how much food you can cook without oil. But if you need that flavor, you can cook the oil, you can cook your food and then put in a little bit of olive oil afterwards. And then you have the flavor without heating it up. Okay? What else? Yeah, like I said, on the pan, if you need to rub a little bit of oil, use that. But deep frying, you know, that's like poison of the poisons. It tastes incredible, but, you know, it's really, really bad for us, especially because it's battered in something with white flour and things. And yep.
How many spoons a day oil?
0.
No, our body needs oil, like our brain.
Our body needs the oil, and it's found in our foods. There's plenty of oil, even in you know, like grains and things. It has. We do not need excess oil. Just let's hold on.
I just want to mention something as someone who's worked in kitchens for like 9 years. In every restaurant, and almost every restaurant, there's something deep fried on the menu. And when we do like the oil in the deep fryer, it stays in there for a week. And this is in like good restaurants. I don't know how long they keep it in there for like KFC or whatever.
Oh, mercy.
But the oil is being continually reused, even in good restaurants, because they can't afford to replace a huge thing of oil every day. So they use it. So when you go in there, you could be having, and some places do it for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, honestly, if they're
Mercy.
not good. So imagine how carcinogenic that oil is
Oof.
by the second week, by the third week. It's so
Wow.
bad for you.
All right. So May was saying that from her experience in working at restaurants, they have vats of oil that they use for deep frying, and they use it and reuse it for 1 week or even up to 2 to 3 weeks. So imagine how carcinogenic that might be. Mercy. Okay, somebody else was going to say something.
A flaxseed oil, flaxseed.
Okay, so flaxseed oil, we were having this conversation. So flaxseed oil, again, is not the whole food. So eating the flaxseed is best. But just eating the whole flaxseed does not activate the nutrients, so you need to blend them. I bought an awesome Sunbeam little coffee grinder, seed grinder thing. I love it. It's just small, and you can put I just put flaxseed in there, and then use a bzz, bzz, you know, just blitz it for just a few seconds, and bam, you've got the flaxseed powder. And so eating the flaxseed powder, put that on your oatmeal, your granola, wherever, in any kind of food, and it's wonderful. Yeah, you're going to learn about the benefits of flaxseed and the omega-3 fatty acids that it has in a future lecture. Okay? All right, so oil. Avoid it as much as possible. All right, what is this?
Sugar.
Okay, sugar is extremely addictive, and it is this refined sugar, usually from the sugar cane or beet beets, etc. Now look at water. Water has no sugar. But now, increasingly, look at these different juices, even fruit juices, and then Red Bull, Nestea, Coca-Cola. This is how much sugar that is contained in these kinds of drinks. More than anything, if you are still drinking any kind of soft drinks, this is the first thing that you want to stop. This is going to kill you. This is poison. What's that?
A lot of weight you're gonna gain.
And it's going to cause you to gain weight. Absolutely. We had somebody in the last program, and he was, probably 130 something kilos, and he drank only fizzy drinks. He didn't drink any water. And when he came here, he learned to make that transition, swap it. And he's been doing so good. His blood sugars have been normalized. Blood pressure has gone down. He's been losing weight, and he just says he feels better, more energy. This is false energy. This is temporary energy, right? It gives you a spike, gives you a high, and then gives you the crash. So if you have not stopped with drinks, stop.
Okay, only water. Sorry.
That's right, water. That's it. Water is the best.
Get Diet Coke.
Oh, it still has the what is it called? Those sugars that.
Yeah, sugar.
Yeah, they do have lots of sweeteners, but they also have the sweeteners that are artificial, and that's bad as well. So any kind of those carbonated fizzy drinks. All right, so sweeteners. So we avoid sugars, those refined sugars as much as possible, but we can use natural raw sweeteners in small quantities. So, we don't really believe in desserts. Desserts is not just something that we use on a regular basis, okay? And then when we have healthy desserts, they're not as sweet, and they're all made from the natural whole foods, all right? So natural sweeteners, of course, we've got honey. That's really nice. And in other countries, and you can get these as imports, you can get raw coconut sugar. You can get raw palm sugar. These are some of the things I like. I also like agave. If you've ever seen agave syrup, it comes from a cactus, and it's a little bit more runny. So for me, it's more convenient as I cook. Maple syrup, yes. There's some controversy about maple syrup. Some people say that's highly refined, but we do know that it does come from the natural maple tree. So,
Honey is okay.
what's that?
Honey, not bad.
Which one?
Honey.
Honey. No, it's not. Honey has some incredible antibacterial properties, antimicrobial. So even when you're sick, when you've got a cold or something, using honey together with onion or garlic and ginger, those kinds of things, it becomes a medicine. Somebody's coughing here. Oh, yeah, many people coughing here. So I told Andre that I'm going to make this syrup. I cut up some onion and I put honey, raw honey in there. I'm going to let it soak for several hours. And then it turns into the syrup, and it becomes a cough syrup. So you just take a spoonful of that, and the honey, the properties in the honey as well as in the onion will help become the natural.
The raw honey. Where can you get that market?
Yeah.
Too much sugar.
Yeah, and anywhere in the markets you can find it says raw honey. It's more expensive, but yeah.
Some of the cheaper honeys, they actually add sugar to it.
That's right. So the cheaper honeys, you really have to look and see because they do even add the refined sugars.
What about xylitol?
Xylitol. I heard that is one of the better artificial sweeteners that it's made out of. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I have heard that it is better. But there is also stevia, and that comes from a plant. So that one is not as good. That is good, better.
So like sugar.
Yeah, I think they just dry it and grind it.
Yeah,
So.
but they do something to make it so.
Stevia is natural. So yeah, that one is okay. There's other ones that are chemically made, like
Chemically made, but they process it to look look like sugar when it's just a plant.
Yeah, all right. Sure, sure.
How about like Indonesia, the brown sugar, the one they
In the
make
chunks,
from
yeah.
farm.
Yeah, so if it's made as naturally as possible, like the palm sugar, yeah, it's not a problem. But it is a problem when you eat too much. So, small, limited quantities. All right, now let's talk about fermented foods. Now, the world talks about fermented foods as being healthy and health foods. Okay, so they say, oh, sauerkraut is so good, kimchi, tempeh, and we talked about this, what is it? Apple cider vinegar. And they talk about sourdough and such. Now, the principle is this. If you eat foods that are fermented on the outside, and then you put it inside your stomach, in gut, then it begins rotting and spoiling. And that's what causes bad blood. That is what causes problems. Now, for people who have digestive problems like gut issues, now if you eat these foods, yes, you feel relief. Well, that's because the bacteria in your gut is not proper. Okay, so that's becoming a temporary fix. That is not resolving your health problems. So that becomes like a medicine. So instead of focusing on eating these kinds of foods, what you want to do is to change your whole life, change your whole body, the constitution of your body, and restart the foundation of your health as you're learning here in the Maker Heals. All right? And you got to figure out how that your gut might be able to work properly, giving it the right components so that it can make the right gut bacteria. There's some people actually that have diseases like SIBO, called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Is that right? Wow, I've been working with a friend who has this issue, and it's very severe. Extreme bloating and pain and things, and it's hard to find the answer. But when people have gotten these kinds of problems and it hasn't been very long, it's much quicker to be able to help them to resolve their health problems. So very quickly, doing the fasting and then changing the lifestyle of food, water, everything will help them to recover quickly. So actually, I'm very interested to see, Joe, how you go. Because he's been having this problem, but he's been taking the charcoal and olive oil, feeling better bit by bit. I want to see when he transitions onto food, how it goes. All right, so this will be a very good, important case study for me. All right.
What about taking probiotics and prebiotics?
Yes. So again, probiotics is just like this. It's a temporary fix. It's not changing your whole, no.
But they say it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like using all of this fermented stuff, and it's helping it, because if you have, again, gut problems, then it's going to help it. It's like a little medicine. Prebiotics, oh man, I think this is such a gimmick. You know what prebiotics are? They're just food that God has created. And if you eat the right components, then that becomes what develops your bacteria that you need. It produces, you extract the nutrients that you need. So do not be, just fooled by marketing.
We're going to save a lot of money.
You are going to save a lot of money, that's it. That's it.
Are you talking about supplements at some stage?
Oh boy, supplements. Yeah, we will talk about supplements. But we could talk about right now. Supplements are the same. If you are getting the nutrients from the food, why would you pay money to get extra supplement and pills to take them? So, like I've said before, follow strictly what you learn here in the Maker Heals, everything strictly for 3 months. Then go and take your blood test. Check and see if there's anything that's still low. And if it is low, then okay, take the supplements, okay? Do what you need to do. Then check it again. and see, because it might take a longer time for your body to change and for you to get healthy, right? But then why would you keep taking it if your levels are not low? Some people are just taking it as a habit and as a routine, but you've got to use your common sense. All right? So first and foremost, follow God's way. Then secondly, if you need extra support, all right, take it as needed.
So I've got a big problem now. With the COVID, there's been so many doctors saying take your quercetin, take your zinc, take your vitamin D, all of these stuff. And I've been doing this and haven't got COVID. I've been really, maybe I imagine I've got a really good immune system. I don't know. How much is in the mind?
Oh, a lot of it is in the mind.
Take these things if you get COVID, perhaps, as a temporary thing.
Absolutely.
Or do you take them
Yes.
as a preventive measure, or what?
Okay, so she's saying that the doctors have recommended to take vitamin D and zinc and this and that and the other, and she's been taking it faithfully to prevent COVID and such. But do we need to do that? Or is it what we need to take if we get COVID or something? All right, so this is the thing. You're learning the ways to live. You're learning the ways to eat, how to drink water. Again, if you are following what you learn, then your immune system will be strong. If you don't allow stress to overtake you and depress your immune system, if you don't take sugar, all those things that you learned from Neuro2 yesterday about depressing the immune system. So if you are healthy by and large, you don't need to take supplements. Okay, there may be a time if you're sick because your immune system got low and you need to supplement your vitamin C or whatever, vitamin D, etc. Okay, take it, but that should be temporary. It shouldn't be something that you take every day for the rest of your life.
Sorry, can I ask about ginger?
Okay, hold that thought, because I need to finish my thought here.
Sorry.
What's really interesting is the way that God works with His food. He works in the way of multiplication and synthesis. This is actually a really interesting concept that I hadn't learned before I met Mrs. Choi and learned from the Maker Heals. Multiplication and synthesis. So by eating one apple, if as a nutritionist, you check the composition of the different vitamins and minerals, okay, you get a certain amount, right? But actually, when you eat it and when you digest it, it multiplies and creates even more vitamin C than was in the actual fruit. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is God's way. That's how He created our bodies. And so that's why when we take supplements, we're taking like 1,000, 2,000 milligrams, right? But when you're eating one apple and digesting it, that will multiply into the amount of vitamin C that you need. Number 2, synthesis. As we've been talking about, you put in the right components, the whole grains, the vegetables, the fruits, everything, right? Then in your digestive system, in your intestines, then it will produce the bacteria necessary. Even vitamin B12. There have been studies of people who have been vegan or, plant-based for 30, 40 years, right? They've checked their vitamin B12 levels, and it's normal. They did not eat any animals. They did not eat any animal products, but their body is healthy enough to synthesize to make the vitamin B12.
Do you have to supplement it?
If, let's say, you change your lifestyle for 3 months and you're very strict, you check your vitamin B12 levels and it's low, then you could take a supplement, no worries. Or you can take like nutritional yeast flakes. They fortify it with vitamin B12 and other vitamins too. And then you could take it.
Or Vegemite.
Vegemite, yeah, whatever it is, you can use it, all right? But first and foremost, change everything. And then you can see what you're deficient in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so let's use our common sense. Okay, question on ginger.
What's ginger? Ginger.
What about it?
Is that spice? Does it fall in the spicy section?
Okay, yes, ginger has a wonderful flavor and a lot of medicinal properties. And so when you're cooking with ginger, make sure that you cut it very fine so that it's not spicy. Or when people cut like chunks of it and cook with it, then after you finish, take it out so people don't chew it and bite it. Yeah, so just avoid that spice. You can use the flavor. Yes.
I just want about the fermented food. Is olives
Olives is not fermented, it's cured.
cured?
Yeah, with salt. Yeah.
All right.
Yes?
Sorry, so you're doing sauerkraut. I do a sauerkraut with salt and water,
Yep.
so that's fine.
Yeah, so if I can make a healthy kimchi. I'm from Korea. It's healthy. You can make a healthy sauerkraut. Just don't let it ferment and don't use vinegar. Okay? So I can make kimchi and it doesn't have to ferment. I can still keep it for a few days without it fermenting, without turning into alcohol. Okay? And that's okay.
What's kimchi?
Oh, it's a Korean food made out of cabbage, the Napa cabbage, the wonbok. And they'll put garlic and chili powder and ginger and I suppose maybe they'd use vinegar, but the healthy way, we don't have to do it. So what I'll do is I'll use garlic and ginger and red capsicum that's not spicy, but that looks red, yeah, and then like lemon and different things like that, and salt. And then you leave it for a few days and it becomes, it's a Korean food. Dylan, do you have a question?
What about the sweetback?
Zwaibak, we're going to be talking about bread, and so that's a dried bread cracker, so we'll talk about that in a bit.
Oh, I tried kimchi and it's like very strong.
Very strong, yes.
So when you make it yourself, it's like not that strong or
It's not spicy,
not spicy?
and it is flavorful, but
It was like very sour.
that's fermented. So then when we eat the fresh kimchi, it's not sour. Yeah, that's when it's gone beyond. Yes, and then here.
And tempeh, because in my country, our food for vegetarian people always eat tempeh. Even me, all my life I eat tempeh.
Yeah. So tempeh is soybeans that has been fermented, and then they make it into pieces, and you cut it. Yeah. And so now here is the thing. Barbara, I studied some of the things that Barbara O'Neill was saying, and she was actually saying that all, besides vinegar, like all of this and the sourdough is a little bit different. She's trying to say that it's not fermentation, but that it's, what's the word that she uses? It'll come to me later. But basically, it's like a bacteria or something. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that. She really says that sourdough is very good. So I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced about that.
I mean, in the Bible they use sourdough, but there are special days when you should not use it because if you use it too much, it's actually very unhealthy. It was in the time of Elizabeth, not Elizabeth, I forgot where it was.
You're talking about yeast? Or were they talking about sourdough?
I mean, okay, actually it was fermented.
Fermented?
Sourdough was fermented.
Okay, yep.
And they used it only, but not like continual use.
Okay.
Because if you use it like day by day, it's actually very unhealthy.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, so even with sourdough, what they'll use is a sourdough starter, and they'll make it to grow instead of the yeast. So, honestly, I am not 100% sure that it's healthy, because the way that I learned is that anything fermented on the outside, on the inside becomes spoiled and rotten. So, you kind of have to use your judgment on this one. Yes?
So about the medication, what of the contraceptive pills?
Ooh, contraceptive pills. Yeah. I know there's a lot of side effects from them. There are a lot of side effects from the pills. Side effects, yes. So I think in that way, that's probably not good for the health. And so that using the natural means is probably the best.
What's the natural? Is it the food or the veggies? For someone that is, I don't know.
They have something called the rhythm cycle. So you kind of test and see as far as like the temperature and the ovulation cycle and such. And so you have, you know, what days you are likely to get pregnant or not pregnant, etc. And so if you don't want to get pregnant, you avoid those days. I'm not an expert on this, but you can find out. Maybe there's other people here who might know more about this. Yeah. But I do know that the contraceptive medication, there are side effects. So, yeah, I personally wouldn't use them. Yeah. Okay.
There are kids. This might sound a bit weird, but I was listening to someone say, like, Back to Eden. I don't know if you know her, but she said that there are kids who are like getting their periods at like 2 years old.
2 years old.
It's like really bad because they were eating like meat and things like that. Is that true? Like,
I can't imagine 2 years. That one doesn't make sense.
yeah, that's what I was
Because the
thinking.
body development cannot happen by 2 years old. No.
That's right, I can't
No.
understand
I mean, I've definitely heard 8 years old, 9-year-old.
that. Yeah.
But yeah.
But can having a diet like this, like, can it really influence?
Absolutely. Your diet will influence the development of your body to affect the timing of puberty and yeah.
So is it the later the better, or is it?
The later the better. That's right.
What's the bad thing about having it early?
Your body's not ready and your mind is not ready.
You would know.
So imagine a child at 8 years old having a baby, and this does happen, you know, sadly. Imagine the psychological effects.
Yeah, okay.
This is just very, very harmful all around.
Even for you as a mother to explain it to the child, it's really, their mind is...
It's not ready.
Yeah,
Not ready.
But it's not natural too, isn't it?
no, it's not.
So having a meat dairy diet can actually like quicken.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go on to talk about bread, how to properly eat bread. So eat whole grain breads, but you know, we usually use yeast. Because we're using yeast, we do not want to eat the yeast while it's still alive. So after you bake the bread, let it rest for at least 24 hours. Okay? And in that time, the yeast can die. Then also, to have a double layer of protection, toast your bread before eating to ensure that the yeast is dead. Right? Because that yeast, if you eat it and it's still living, okay, it can cause problems with fermentation and spoiling and rotting. Yes?
If you just buy bread from the super, should you just toast it?
Yeah, I think you should just toast it, yeah. All right.
Just toast it while it's less than 24 hours. Is that correct?
Probably it won't ensure that the yeast is dead. So using the double protection is probably the best. All right, so then we've got the Zwieback. And what you do is you bake the bread and then you bake it again. And you can slice it and then bake it again, and then it becomes like crackers, you know, crispy, a little bit harder. And that, you know, for sure, it will kill the yeast, and so you won't have those problems.
What's
All right.
wrong with yeast in our bodies?
It causes fermentation. So the fermentation is the problem.
And that leads to candida.
Okay.
Candida and other problems, yeah. All right, on a plant-based diet, will I get enough protein? You know, people have this false conception that you get so much protein from your meat. But in actuality, look at how much protein you get in plant-based foods, the vegetables, the nuts, the legumes, the grains. All right, so we've got even, it's just a small amount of protein even in potato, 2.5, what is it, grams per 100 gram, all right? So in brown rice, you get 2.58. Sorry?
Can I just get a quick photo?
You can, but I can send you this whole presentation as well. Yeah, you're welcome to.
Very quickly.
Sure. Okay, so pinto beans, green peas, macadamia nuts, lima beans, wheat bread, garbanzo beans, lentils, pecans, soybeans, walnuts, hazelnuts, cashews, chia. Okay, now look even from here. Oats, 16.89 grams per 100 grams. Tofu, flaxseed has 19.5 grams. Pistachio nuts, 21. Almonds, 22. Hemp seeds, 23. Peanut butter, 25. Pumpkin seeds, 32.97. So, you see that in all the plant-based foods, you have enough protein that your body needs. Yes? Is that surprising? Right. Yes, Leon?
So I was looking for like low protein, high carb. Yes, that's what Madeline said.
Low protein, high carbohydrate. Okay, so then just look at these. And look at what has lots of carbohydrates. Protein, potato, brown rice, spinach, quinoa, yeah. So that has less protein. And then go for those that have the higher,
Is quinoa okay?
higher.
Quinoa is good.
Quinoa is amazing. It is a superfood.
To make it like a powder to
It's
put some on it.
potatoes, right?
Yeah, very good. What?
We can eat quinoa with lentil.
Yeah, wonderful.
How many?
Difference between the protein in plants though and the protein in meat.
Oh, I don't know technically, but there is a difference, yes. So we want to get the plant-based protein.
How much protein we need in our body every day?
Yes.
How much do we need every day? Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. But based off, remember our 40-60 principle? Remember 40-60? Actually, the amount of protein, you don't need that much. You don't need it separated. So what you need to understand is that when you eat the whole foods and you're eating your grains, you're eating your vegetables, you're eating your fruits, you're eating your nuts and seeds, then you are going to get your complete picture. So you don't have to calculate, okay, how many grams did I eat of protein? How many carbohydrates did I eat? You don't have to count them. But just focus on the 40-60 and you will get the balanced nutrition. And follow the principles like we're talking about, eat the rainbow, right? So if you're eating the different varieties and you're getting the different vitamins and minerals, and you'll get the balance. Okay? If you want to be technical and find out how many grams do you need, you can look it up on Google.
What was the 40-60 again?
The 40-60 is 40% grains, starchy veggies, proteins, fats. So 40%. And then 60% is veggies, raw veggies, cooked veggies, fruits, etc. So it's like fruits and veggies are the majority of your food, 60%. Then carbohydrates and everything else, fats, proteins is less, the minority, 40%.
So we'll see that tomorrow.
You will continue to see that every day as you eat your meals, because that's what we focus on. All right, look at this. 100 grams of beef versus 100 grams of beans. Okay, look at the amount of protein. Same, 22 grams of protein. But no fiber in beef, and there's 15 grams of fiber in the beans. 1 milligrams of iron in beef, but in the beans, you have 5 milligrams. Look, calcium, 16 milligrams of calcium, but in the beans, wow, almost, 8 times the amount, 123 milligrams of calcium. Magnesium, look at the difference. Cholesterol, you get 74 milligrams of cholesterol, but in beans you have 0 cholesterol. Look at the cost. $3 per 100 grams for meat, 50 cents per 100 grams for your beans. And how many liters of water does it take to produce 100 grams of beef? 1,480 liters of water to get 100 grams of beef. That's a lot of water. But to harvest 100 grams of beans, 103 liters of water. Look at the disparity. You can see just so clearly just by looking at the statistics of how good God's plants, God's foods are. Yes?
So, like with beans, are they all the same value? Like kidney, red kidney, black-eyed beans, or are they
Well, of
all
course, they
going
won't all be the same, but there will be some variation because each of the beans will have different levels of different nutrients. Yeah, yeah.
Which one is possibly the best?
Lentil.
Again, you know what? You don't have to worry about, oh, what is the best, because then you'll only eat the best one, right? So use the variety. Eat the kidney beans, eat the lentils, eat the chickpeas, eat all the different kinds, black-eyed peas. If it's what God has made, you can't go wrong.
Make curry.
You can't go wrong. Last principle that we want to remember is to be creative and make your food delicious. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be healthy. You don't have to buy imported things to be healthy. If it's expensive, you don't need to get that, okay? Hemp seeds are pretty expensive. If you're saving money, you don't have to get those. There's plenty of cheaper ones that you can get. But it's very important to make your food absolutely tasty. Then people will be happy to become plant-based. People will say, I've heard people say, wow, if this is what vegetarians eat, I don't mind becoming vegetarian. So we provide a witness by even our cooking. You know that some cooking you'll eat and it just doesn't have the love in it. It's just like food. But as you prepare the food with love and with God's principles, people can taste the difference. Did you know that? So let us all become people who are witnesses, living witnesses for the Lord, not just in our food and in our cooking, but in our characters, in our words, in our demeanor. It's a total package, right? I tell you over and over again, right? It's not just about food. We need everything. We need Jesus. We need walking. We need water. I'm nagging. I'm telling you over and over again because I don't want you to forget the big picture. Don't just isolate one part. Okay?